Welcome back to Spring in Math 8. I'm Mr. Burns. Today's topic, converting fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. Let's get started. First and foremost, and one of the most important things you need to take away from today's lesson is that we can write numbers in different formats and they can still be equivalent. So a decimal can be equivalent to a fraction and a fraction can be considered equivalent to a decimal. Let's start with this very first example. We can ask ourselves, what is the decimal equivalent to the fraction 7/8? So the first thing we need to do when finding the fraction equivalent to 7/8, or excuse me, the decimal equivalent to the fraction 7/8, we need to divide 7 by 8. So when I divide 7 by 8, guys, I get a decimal of 0.875. So I can now say with confidence that the fraction 7/8 is equivalent to the decimal 0.875. They are the same thing, just written in a different format. So let's go back the other way. So we have to go now from a decimal back to a fraction. And we're going to show you a little trick that's going to help you out with this. So you need to know that when you convert a decimal to a fraction, that we need to place the numbers in the decimal over the appropriate place value. For example, converting 0.875, we see that there are 3 spots after the decimal, 0.875. And so we can have to have 3 zeros in our new denominator. So now my new fraction is going to be 875 over 1,000. So we have 3 decimal places, or 3 places after our decimal, which means we have to have 3 zeros in our new denominator. So we have to simplify this fraction or reduce it to its simplest form. And we've been doing this for a long time, guys. We've always had teachers tell you reduce, reduce, reduce. And so we're going to do the same thing here today. So 875 over 1,000, that can be reduced by dividing by both sides by the number 5. Okay? So 875 divided by 5 is going to give me 175, and 1,000 divided by 5 is going to give me 200. And we can keep dividing by 5 until we get to its simplest form. So 175, again, guys, divided by that 5 is going to be 35, and 200 divided by 5 is going to give you 40. So we have 35 over 40. And again, we can divide by 5 to get our final smallest or simplified answer of 7/8. So we can again say that 7/8 is equivalent to the decimal 0.875. Let's try a few more together. What is the fraction equivalent to the decimal 0.3125? Now, don't forget to put this in its simplest form. We can see here, guys, that we have 4 spots after our decimal, that 3125, which means we have to have 4 zeros in our decimal, or excuse me, in our denominator. So we have 3,125 over 10,000. Okay? Now, we may be asking ourselves, what are we going to divide by to reduce this to its simplest form? In this case, we're going to divide by the number 25. Okay? When we divide both the top and the bottom by 25, we get 125 over 400. And we can divide yet again by 25 to get the fraction 5/16. We can now say that the decimal 0.3125 is equivalent to the fraction 5/16. Let's try one more before we go. So let's convert this decimal to a fraction. We have 0.439. And go ahead and pause the video at this point, try this one on your own, and then push play when you're ready to figure out the answer. All right, guys, we can see here that we have 0.439, and we want to convert this into a fraction. So I have 3 spots after my decimal. That means I'm going to have 3 zeros in my new denominator. So I have my fraction bar, I have my 1,000 on the bottom, and on the top I'm going to simply place my 439. Okay? So 439 over 1,000 as the equivalent to that decimal. We're lucky because this one is already reduced into its simplest form. So we have 439 over 1,000. All right, guys, that's it for today. Good luck solving.